Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the U.S. Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Hello and welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman, and if you'll excuse me for just one moment while I share the fact that we are live on our social media platforms. You can follow me on Parler, search for Shock Monkey Radio, where I'm posting right now. I post, we're live, with an exclamation point, and I post, hit Control V, and parlay. And so we are live, and I posted on Facebook and Parler, so we're ready to go here on Shock Monkey Radio. Did I do I did the warning already. So I want to say thank you to EK for providing me the buzz to keep me going, because sometimes I need to get a buzz to get through this show. I'm not actually very outgoing, as they might say, but I pretty much confine all the things I need to say into 1 hour of my life, and that is this hour here on Shock Monkey Radio. So I've been thinking about Christmas. Christmas is coming, and so of course I've been thinking about what do I want for Christmas. Now, you know, there's a book I really want to read. It's called The Death of Cool. The Death of Cool. It's by a writer named Gavin McInnes. McInnes, Gavin McInnes. And I would really like to read that because I want to know what it was like for kids of my generation who were cool, because I have no idea. I was never cool. So, but really, what do I want for Christmas other than a book, you know, that you get very, very, very cheaply used? Search for The Death of Cool. It's very cheap used, and you know that's what's great about used books. Is used books, you know, their value never really changes. If you ask me. Oh, the cover's damaged. I mean, it's different when it comes to comic books, obviously, because people, the comic book people, they started that whole thing with the mint in box kind of concept. Yeah, I don't like the lights in here. I might have to move them around here in a second. Okay, so that being said, what do I want for Christmas? And so I thought about it long and hard, and so I came up with a couple of options for you. If you're thinking about getting the Madman, yours truly, a gift this Christmas. And so I've narrowed it down to these three. Now, I would like either an Airwolf or a kit. I prefer a kit. And if you give me a kit, I want that kit programmed to actively hate on Ford, like the car company. It's like to actively hate on Ford. So if you're getting me something, a kit actively on Ford, actively pissy about Ford. It's like, oh, is that a Ford found on road dead running by us? I was like, that's right, kid. It was a Ford. I would love to have kit like that. Hey, EK, can we possibly move this light just a little bit this way? The reflection in my glasses. What else do I want for this Christmas? I want a new version of the Nexus 6. Here's the model number. The N6 FAB 21416 Press Basic Pleasure model. All right, I would like a new one of those because the last one I had, you know, I lent it out to a friend, and yeah, I lent out my old one to a friend, and when I got it back, she she broke my hip, she dislocated my shoulder, you know, she just really went all haywire. So, if you had to get me something, get me a Press model, but I would prefer that you got me a Cherry 2000 because everyone prefers a Cherry 2000, right? I want a Cherry 2000. So, kit and Cherry 2000. Yeah, I'm still getting the reflection in my eyes. You got to get it. Like, yeah, there you go. One more thing I would like for Christmas this year is the helmet of Naboo or the Greatest American Hero suit. Obviously, I prefer the helmet of Naboo. And I don't want any of that cosplay bullshit. Okay? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But most of all, this Christmas, I want your patronage. And so all you have to do is to go over to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, become a patron, $3 a month. And you know what? Here's a secret between you and me. That price might go down very soon. Very soon. I'm not saying I want to pin it on any specific date because I'm not sure if I'm Jewish or who's
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if I'm Jewish or I'm Kwanzaa in or what or pagan or whatever you celebrate. So I don't know. Maybe sometime this month the price might go down. So if you want to wait till the new year, I would understand. But I really would love your patronage over at patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Or you can send me cash through Cash App. Use hashtag shockmonkeyradio. And if you can't send me anything this Christmas, I would understand. And the best thing you can do is like, share, and subscribe the content that you find on this channel. Let's go with channel. Podcast channel. That covers it. See, I need a buzz to deal with you people. Anyway, so I'd appreciate it if you did all of that. So I was thinking about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And I was thinking about the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A lot of ofs in those sentences. That being said, it's like, it's usually depicted as like an apple. It's like Adam and Eve, Eve plucked an apple. The snake told her, it's like, you want an apple, don't you? And, let's be honest, some naked lady walking in the woods runs across an apple tree. Do you really need a snake to say, hey, that looks good? I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, you could blame it on the snake, if you will. But at some point, you have to wonder, was the tree of knowledge of good and evil really an apple? You see, I don't think it was really an apple. After all, when people talk about where Eden began, where Eden might be, it's possibly, I think it's called the Fertile Crescent. Excuse me. It's in Iraq now. I think it's the area in between the Tigris and Euphrates River. That's where people say the Garden of Eden must have been because it's so lush and stuff there, and it's just nightmare everywhere else in Iraq. And so I don't know if that's where Eden was, but I also don't think that apple trees are native to that region. Okay, apple trees they tend to be further north or south in the hemispheres or flourish better in those areas, if I'm not mistaken. That being said, it's like I don't think that it was an apple as the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. I think it was probably more of a tropical fruit. It was possibly a banana. I don't know. One could argue that a banana is a berry, not necessarily a fruit. But let's be honest, berries are fruit. Aren't berries fruit? I think they are. And it's fruit. Fruit is plural already. You don't say Chinese's. That being said, do you think that Eve peeled the banana and deep throated it and say, "Hey Adam," tapped him on the shoulder, "Hey Adam, check this out." What does that make you think of? Deep throated the banana, and that's when God came down and said, "That is the knowledge of good and evil." Spit on the microphone. My bad. That is the knowledge of good and evil. Now I need to punish you because you're making jokes. Or maybe it was a peach. Maybe Adam got a hold of a peach, took a bite out of a peach, and it's like, "Hey, Eve, look at this. What's that? Look, check through that." And he flicks his tongue vigorously against the bite of the peach. And then God comes down from heaven and is like, "That is the knowledge of good and evil." Unfortunately, that kind of idea kind of lends itself to the concept that God has no sense of humor. And that being said, I think God has a sense of humor. After all, he made us. He made the platypus. He made the octopus. Do you know the octopus is scary as shit? They have people go on YouTube. Go on YouTube later and search for octopus escaping from shit. You're bound to find something that's terrify you about going into the water ever again. Like I said, I have thalassophobia, which is a fear of the ocean, and it's because of things like that, because of octopi. Octopuses? Grinches? Grinches. I don't know. what do you think the knowledge of good and evil was? What do you think the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil was? I think it was probably a banana, because the first person who plucked a banana from the banana bunch and put it on their crotch, I don't know. That's the kind of the knowledge of good and evil, because you can understand why that's funny. You can understand why that's funny if you have the knowledge of good and evil. If you had no knowledge of good and evil, you wouldn't know why that is funny. So maybe humor didn't exist before Adam and Eve ate of the fruit. They ate of the fruit. I love that phrase. They ate of the fruit like just a little bit. Just one bite. God won't notice. Oh, the bears must have got into them. Well, you told me to name them. I don't care if you think they're called dogs, God. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this next topic. Ooh, this buzz is nice. Let's keep it right there for the show. So there have been some people who've come around this studio who were a little upset. They were a little upset that I mentioned that wrestling is gay. And I say it that way. I mention that wrestling is gay because it's gay. And a lot of people these days don't like people pointing out the obvious. And so I just wish people would understand that, there are plenty of things about me that you could say are gay about me. All right. You could say that, my lack of interest in social dynamics, social relationships, proves that I'm like asexual, because I don't care about humans that much. And so you could say that, or you could just come up to me and say, when you're a jet all the way. And I might say something like, from your first cigarette to your last dying day. And that is because I love musicals. Do you love musicals? I bet you do. If you give a shit at all about music, if you love music at all, you probably love musicals. All right? And I appreciate anyone who even tries a musical. All right? And let me tell you something. It's like, I can give 13 stars to something or 1 star to something. And I'll tell you, if you have an opinion on it, a strong opinion on anything, it's worthwhile in this day and age. Excuse me. And so when you if you get offended about me talking about, hey, people who like wrestling are gay, if you get offended by me saying something like that, then I suggest you just fire back at me something to the effect of, what's a good I don't know any Les Miserables songs right off the top of my head. I'm buzzed, obviously. Just start singing a song from a musical. All right. And then you'll oh, the madman's obviously gay. You're gay, madman. That's what you say. You say you're gay, madman, because you like musicals. No, I love music and I love musical theater. And okay, maybe I'm gay. It's like, no, I'm not gay. I just love music. And I think that musical theater is a fantastic place to showcase all of the talents that human beings possess. Now I'm going to list a few musicals that I like. All right. So I'm talking about musicals like West Side Story, like Avenue Q, like Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables, Hamlet 2, The Nightman Cometh, Mamma Mia, Hairspray, Frozen, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Mary fucking Poppins, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Little Shop of Horrors, and even Saturday Night Fever. And if I didn't mention any certain musical, there's probably a good reason for it. Because I either love or hate a musical. And that means a strong opinion on it either way. Like you didn't hear me mention Sweeney Todd. You didn't hear me mention that at all. Master of the House. And, plus I don't really get Bollywood. I really don't get it. I think there's a cultural divide that I really don't understand. I mean, the West is the best. The West is the best. Ride the snake to the lake, the ancient lake. ladies and gentlemen, the genius. It's hard to not laugh when trying to put the word genius and Jim Morrison together. Ooh, comment in the comments if you disagree with me about that. Jim Morrison was overrated. Kurt Cobain was overrated. The Beatles were overrated. Anyway, that being said, is it, I guess I grew up in a world where, they would make fun of you for anything for being gay. Oh, you play a guitar? That's gay. Oh, you read comic books? Guys in tights? That's not gay. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like, it's obvious that it's gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. What I mean is that of liking comic books or liking musicals. Well, down on Skid Row, all my life, I've been poor. I keep asking God what I'm for, and he tells me, gee, I'm not sure. Sweep that floor, kid. I started life as an orphan, a child of the streets. But here on Skid Row, I got to stop. I got to stop because I love musicals way too much. Way too much. And I particularly like eclectic musicals, particularly like The Nightman Cometh. I think that's a brilliant piece of musical theater that needs to be copied and be on every street corner. It needs to be on Broadway, damn it. Bring your gun. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this next topic from making fun of gay people, I guess, to making fun of lesbians. So, is that really changing? I don't know. So I've been having a lot of weird dreams about the White Canary. Now, I don't know if you've watched The Legends of Tomorrow on the DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Is it the CW, the kid channel that plays that kind of stuff? So I've been rewatching Legends of Tomorrow, and I think I got a real crush on the White Canary. I don't even know her name. Perhaps I should look her up. And I think it's just freckles on fit women. Actress Katie Lotz. Yeah, she's a looker. And I think it's just, first of all, she looks real. Her makeup is minimal in the show. Apparently there's plenty of pictures of... Wait, no. This is not the one, I think. Let me make sure. From San Diego. Yep, that's her. Katie Lotz. Born in 86. Jesus. I'm 10 years older than her. By a smidge. And so, anyway, so she is, I don't know, I think it's like fit girls with freckles. And here's something I'll never understand. It's something I never understood when growing up as a kid. Is like these girls who grow up and they're all bespeckled. They had freckles, and they're very self-conscious about them. And I just, ladies, girls, let that go, because, there are plenty of guys. There are plenty of guys in the world that love that kind of stuff. I mean, it's like vitiligo, it's, it makes you unique. It adds to your texture as a human being, if you ask me. And, yeah, I think I just have a thing for girls with freckles. Don't blame me. Plus, I have a thing for girls who are strong and confident, and White Canary is strong and confident. However, when it comes to other characters that come in the CW universe, on these DC shows, you'll see these female characters who are also strong and confident, but real bitchy. Real bitchy. And yeah, there's a lot of good looking females running all over the Wave Rider, that ship, there's lots of them. But Amaya, this is a tough call for me, because it's kind of the opposite of the argument I'm making. Amaya is not as attractive as Charlie. in Amaya's form. And that's because, there's more personality involved with Charlie than there is with Amaya. And I like that. And Sarah Lance, the captain of the Wave Rider, she's a woman in charge, a woman in power. And, I was in the Navy. I dealt with women in power. It happens. Oh, God forbid there's a woman in charge. It doesn't bother me at all, as long as she's qualified for the job. And so when Rip Hunter selected her to be the captain of the Wave Rider, it made sense to me. Because yes, she's a no-nonsense chick. She takes care of business. But she's also not bitchy about it. She's quite jovial about all the things that they do. She's always cracking jokes. I love that about Sarah Lance. I love that about the White Canary. But in many other female roles, a lot of these females tend to be portrayed as bitchy. And I don't know if it's the acting or the writing, but at some point you have to say is like, you're kind of emulating stereotypical male traits at some point, especially when you're talking about that bat bitch. What's her name? Batwoman? Bat lady? Bat bitch? When you're talking about somebody like that, they're just rude. And if that behavior came from a man where they're just dismissive and is like stupid, insert gender here, and you're just stupid because you're a man. If they said something like that, you're just, well, why? It's like, that's not a mark of leadership. That's not a mark of a leader. A leader needs to be liked. And I'm not saying that, that they should actively try to be liked. I think that they should be likable. This is like that who they naturally are is likable. And the character of Sarah Lance is likable. And that's why she makes a good leader, because she's not bitchy about it. And she cracks jokes, and when she says these horrible misandrous things, they're pretty much always asides to other females out of earshot of somebody else. If you want to be a feminazi in the dark corners of your girls' locker room, by all means, in my opinion. But I mean, a leader or a sexy female is not bitchy. They're a little bit bitchy. Bitchy to the point where they're not going to let you get away with bullshit. All right. So like I said, I've been in the military and I've had plenty of women who are higher ranking than me. And sometimes you get, a smart white girl who is a bitchy enough to call you on your bullshit, or a smart black girl who's called, you're not pulling that shit, Seaman so-and-so. And God bless them. They absolutely deserve those roles because they are likable and they're like no nonsense. And there's nothing wrong with being no nonsense, even as a woman. I don't think that it detracts from your femininity at all. At all. In fact, I appreciate directness in females. You want to fuck? No. Okay. Boom. Problem is solved. That issue has been put to bed. There's no will they, won't they in my head. All Young and the Restless style. I don't care about any of that shit. Just yes or no. No? Okay. We can move on with our day. And so I have a lot of things to say because, like I said a couple weeks ago, I think is that I was watching Supergirl and I just had enough. I had enough of all the misandrous nonsense going on in there, and all Alex, the beautiful Alex Danvers chooses to be gay, and that's a problem. But somebody choosing to be a man or a woman when they're a man is okay, and I think that runs counter to what people are saying these days. After all, it's like if femininity is sacred, it should be sacred, and it is sacred. And there, women come in all different flavors. Absolutely, some are freckles, some are vitiligo, and so I mean and they all have different personalities, and I love that about them. I love the variety. It's hard to make a decision. As a man, is like, who do you go after? Because they're all so beautiful and they're all so wonderful. But sometimes you run into a bitch. And some people say that you can't say that a woman is a bitch or being bitchy. It's like, I'm sorry. there is a bitch. There's also a dickhead. You know, if you're in a workplace and the captain's a dickhead, they're a dickhead. Rip Hunter, big dickhead. Big dickhead. Good call, Rip Hunter, by picking a better leader for that ship than you. Because Rip Hunter is a big dick. He's a big, selfish dick. So is John Constantine. Anyway, so I'm going to go on to this last subject before we get into the news worth knowing. And that is, I fucking hate drama. I hate drama with a passion. And let me tell you why I want to talk about this. This is about something that happened very recently and is really irritating the hell out of me. I can't stand the drama. All right. The leader of my guild rage quit last week. All right. And it was after a raid. We did the AQ. I forget what that's called. Q whatever. We did that. And then they did, like, I had to log off because they run late. They're in, like, mountain time and stuff like that. So they ran late, and then they ran Upper Blackrock Spire. And apparently, this is what I've heard. This is just, like, passive listening in guild chat. Okay? And what I heard is there were some words exchanged after a failed Upper Blackrock Spire raid or something. Like I know. All right? And so the guild leader rage quit. And made some other dude leader who is obviously unqualified. Let's put it that way. He is obviously unqualified. And so a whole bunch, I would say like 50% of our daily login people quit the guild after this. And so over the last, I don't know, like week or so, you know, it's like most of our guild has disappeared. You know, and there's people talking. There's still people in chat, and they're still talking. Blah, blah, blah. What did so and so say? It's like, I don't know. What did Nuggetmunch the Gnome Warlock say? It's like, well, Nuggetmunch said. It's like, who gives a shit what Nuggetmunch said? All right, this is my game. This is my game experience, and I am fucking pissed. I am pissed off that these massive multiplayer online roleplay games force you to pair up with other human beings to play. I would rather live in a solo Azeroth, a world that's just me, and I don't have to interact with anyone to run a dungeon. All right? Because of things like this. I can't stand drama. I joined a guild out of reluctance after I had 3 level 60s. All right. After I had 3 level 60s on WoW Classic, I joined a guild because I'm frustrated because my gear just isn't good enough and people made fun of me for being level 60 and not having the gear that they have. That's why I joined the guild. All right. Then all this guild nonsense starts happening and I have to give a shit because now I have to join another guild if I want to continue working on all the stuff that I need in World of Warcraft. All right. I got like 3 mooncloth bags full of bullshit that I need other people to help me get rid of out of my bank, or else I just need to destroy them because they're all soul-bound bullshit. And I'm frustrated that these games have forced me to work with other nerds who have no life other than a podcast and World of Warcraft. I am forced to work with these drama queens who are conniving. They form cliques. They have favorites. They have confidants. You know, it's like Game of Thrones up in that shit. And as soon as it starts feeling like Young and the Restless, I want to log off and play with a tune that is not a part of that guild. All right? And, you know, as soon as it starts feeling like a soap opera, I'm out. And that's how I feel in real life, is that, you know, I have no interest in your drama. There are far more interesting things to talk about other than, did he love her? Does she love him? And she loves somebody else and you just can't win? And so it goes until the day you die. This thing they call love is going to make you cry. You know, these are the kinds of things that I say in guild chat, and it's all dismissed because they're all so concerned about the fucking drama. So I might quit my guild on Wednesday. That's the next guild meeting. I bet I'll be one of 4 people there. I'm secretly hoping I get the guild all to myself. Then I get to do what I want with it. All right, 6:30. I'm going to go ahead and get into the news worth knowing. All right, so politically correct Santa tells a crying kid he won't bring him a Nerf gun. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's a great story, and I love great stories because there's so much we could say about a story like this. So a mall Santa dropped the hammer on a little boy who asked him for a Nerf gun on Christmas, telling the bawling kid he wouldn't bring him the toy. The politically correct Kris Kringle was caught on video asking the child what he wanted for the holiday, according to a Facebook post by the boy's mother. The boy apparently mentioned a gun because Santa could be heard saying, "No guns." Dick. So the kid's mom, who was standing nearby, piped in, just to be clear, a Nerf gun. The not-so-jolly old St. Nick was still having none of it. Fox, you're irritating me. The writer of this article, I want to slap him. Her. Quote, not even a Nerf gun, said the unmoved Father Christmas, who was sitting at a table surrounded by fake presents, with the boy across from him nervously holding his face mask in what looked like a mall. Quote, this is what Santa said, "If your dad wants to get it for you, that's fine, but I can't bring it to you," the Santa Claus said. "What else would you like? Lots of other toys, Legos. There's bicycles, there's cars and trucks. What do you think?" The child turned to his mom and burst into tears, continuing to sob even when she bent down to hug and comfort him, and told him, "You'll still get it." It's not clear when or where the incident took place, but the Twitter sphere reaction is swift and heavily against Santa. Quote, "Leftists are monsters," one user wrote. Another added, "Haven't kids been through enough this year? I give the mom credit because I would have caused a scene." And there's an update to this story. I was making the notes, and I was also listening to Louder with Crowder this morning. And Steven Crowder was way ahead of the story. Good for him. And he had the parents of this kid and the kid on his show today. And for all his flaws, Steven Crowder did a great thing. He talked to the parents and said, "Hey, we would love to send a cornucopia of Nerf guns to your son this Christmas." And to the credit of the parents, they said, "Well, we have been blessed enough this year to be able to give our son everything he needs." So then Steven Crowder says, like, "Well, if we can give like a bunch of Nerf guns to his friends and so forth, and people in their community who could use it, then absolutely do all that. Do all of that. Shower this kid with Nerf guns this year. Absolutely." After all, because this Santa was doing the wrong thing. I don't know who talked to him. I don't know if it was an employee of the mall, probably a female employee of the mall, and or if it was just his wife or somebody telling him like guns are bad, or what motivated this Santa to say this to a child, any child. I guess I'm like Steven Crowder in the sense that, when I was a kid, and even if it was a controversial item or expensive item, like if I came to Santa Claus in the mall and said, Santa, as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old like this kid was, if I came to Santa in the mall and said, "I want a Cherry 2000, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if you know what to do with that for at least 13 years. So, instead of saying that to the kid, you say, it's like, "Well, if you're an especially good boy, then maybe you'll get it." Because the Santa doesn't know the parent's budget, doesn't know, if they can afford or want to give them that. Like the parents could have been somebody who didn't want to get their kid a Nerf gun. And so maybe Santa thought he was reinforcing the common idea of what parents think that their kids should have. Nerf gun is not a gun. That being said, what a dick. And EK told me, it's like, this Santa got fired. And I don't think that should be the case as well. Also, I don't think that should be the case. And I'll say this about, making a mistake in this day and age is kind of problematic, because that mistake can be amplified, to the point where This guy could have been playing Santa for years, for decades even. Been playing Santa in the mall. And, one little bird chirped in his ear. And he's saying, like, no guns or gun-like things. All of a sudden Santa's like, you'll shoot your eye out to everything. And so, it could have been this one incident that propels him into infamy, if you will, to the point where it's like nobody ever noticed all the beautiful Christmases that you made children happy all the years up to this point. And seasonal work, getting fired 2 weeks before Christmas is like, that's half your annual paycheck when it comes to that kind of seasonal work. Depends how you file your taxes, right? That being said, Santa should have a little bit more, wisdom, prudence. Prudence. I like prudence. Let's go with prudence. Let's go to this next story. Minnesota residents' Christmas light display shamed for harmful impact to community in an anonymous letter. In St. Anthony, Minnesota, resident Kim Hunt received an anonymous letter from her from a neighbor. I almost said her husband because her husband Mike Hunt. I'm sorry, that's my brain. It's an anonymous letter from a neighbor on Monday chastising she and her husband for the Christmas lights display. Quote, I couldn't help but notice your Christmas light display during these unprecedented times. Really? Anyway, during these unprecedented times, we have all experienced challenges in which casual words just don't describe what we're feeling. The idea of twinkling, colorful lights are a reminder of divisions that continue to run through our society. Hold on. It's just took a weird left turn. All right. The idea of twinkling, colorful lights are a reminder of divisions that continue to run through our society, a reminder of systemic biases against our neighbors who don't celebrate Christmas or who can't afford to put up lights of their own. The letter shared by Crime Watch Minneapolis reads, we must do the work of educating ourselves about the harmful impact an outward-facing display like yours can have. What? Okay, the letter challenges Hunt to respect the dignity of all people while striving to learn from differences, ideas, and opinions of our neighbors. We must come together and collectively challenge these institutional inequities, the letter concludes. St. Anthony is a community welcoming of all people, and we must demand better for ourselves. Hunt told Fox News that she and her husband were very surprised, shocked, and saddened by the letter. Quote, the lights give me joy after coming home from work as a nurse working with COVID. Oh, you're going to pull the COVID card? She said. Anyway, I wish we could all celebrate diversity and honor everyone's traditions. Like, okay, wait. Almost done with the article, madman, and then you can comment on it. She explained that these times that we live in are so divisive, and that it's a sad statement that Christmas lights have to be a target. Quote, we need to be inclusive of everyone, and let's face it, a lot of people put up holiday lights or decorate their homes for other occasions to bring beauty and happiness to what can be a very ugly world, she added. Hunt noted that 3 other households in the area have received the same letter, though it was not immediately clear if anyone knows the identity of the letter writer. The letter received pushback on social media, with former Baltimore Ravens quarterback, who cares, Derek Anderson, replying, saw this coming a long time ago. If I can't have it, nobody can. Or if they have it, we all deserve it. That's not life. I agree with your statement, but who cares what he thinks? Okay, another user pointed out the irony that the letter writer is doing exactly what they accuse the homeowner of doing, not being accepting of others. And then there's a bunch of... I can't believe this is journalism these days, where they just repost people's tweets. Why can't you just user so-and-so, quote, I don't know, write? Don't copy and paste. Anyway, so the letter comes just 2 weeks to go before Christmas holiday. And so the idea, I guess, is the fact that these Christmas lights are offensive for being Christmassy. Because other people celebrate Kwanzaa, other people celebrate Hanukkah. You know, as far as I'm concerned, all right, this might be controversial to say. As far as I'm concerned, whatever you choose to decorate your property with is your business, as far as I'm concerned. If you want to put up like Cinco de Mayo signs all over your lawn on December 24th, that is your prerogative as a madman. If I were a madman and I owned property and I had plenty of storage space to to pull a calendar man on the community that I live in and just like decorate for the wrong holiday every year, like put up Halloween on Valentine's Day. Absolutely. Walk around as a zombie in makeup on Valentine's Day. That's your prerogative. That's your property. That's how you decide to choose to dress it up. But now you're talking about the fact that you're emitting light from your property that is emanating into my eyes, and because of the light that's emanating from your property into my eyes denotes a certain religion and into my mind, and therefore I am offended by it. You know, those people who think that way can go fuck themselves. All right, they can go take a long walk off a short pier. I know I blew my wad with the go F yourself thing. All right, and so it's not an issue of disrespecting people by putting up lights celebrating your religious or pagan holidays when it comes to Christmas. All right, so you're just offended. You're just a Karen. You're a Karen in the world. You're a scold. You're a woke scold. And it's like you are not paying attention to me, and therefore everything you do, if everything you do is not paying attention to me, therefore you're a racist, bigot, Zionist, whatever. And that's what the issue is. It's a bunch of people writing anonymous letters, either to people in their neighborhood or people on Amazon or people, people to Google. And it's like, this thing offends me, so you need to take it down. And if 5 people complain, then they're just like, well, we'll take it down, so I can just shut these people up. And that's what they're expecting to happen in your neighborhood. And that's what they're expecting to happen in your community. If all 5 people who are offended by it complain, then it needs to be taken down. No. If my white skin offends you, that's on you. That's on you. If you think that my pale, pasty skin gives me some sort of privilege in life, you are very wrong and very racist. Okay? Because that's not how these things work. You don't think about me. You can't expect me to think about you as much as you think of you. Because I don't give a shit about you. I'm a human being. And I don't want this drama. What would you do if you got a letter like that? A letter like somebody in the neighborhood? I would make a rebuttal. I would make an anonymous rebuttal letter. See, this is the kind of thing I would do. If I were in the neighborhood, not a bunch of Christmas lights up, and somebody gave me an anonymous letter saying, I would write a rebuttal letter and put it in all the newspaper boxes, because that's not a felony. Tampering with the mail is a felony. I would put it in all the newspaper boxes of the people in my neighborhood, in every single neighborhood, so they all got it. So they all understood my position, which was basically, the letter would, basically be go fuck yourself. Because, it's none of it's none of your business. It's none of your business. It's like Halloween. It's like somebody on the 30th of October writing a letter to everybody in their neighborhood saying, I am offended that you've decorated your house with all this Halloween gear, and I've seen your children running around outside in their Halloween costumes, trying them out, and I know you're going to be giving out candy this year, and that is offensive to people with diabetes. You don't have to eat the candy. You don't even have to like the holiday. You know what? I don't like Christmas. I don't like Christmas, but I'm not going to let you destroy other people's enjoyment of it, even though I hate it. Let's go on to the next story. New York Times editor slammed for reporting restaurants' alleged violation of COVID protocols. Quote, great job, Karen. excuse me, a New York Times editor took to Twitter Monday to gloat that he ratted out a restaurant he believed was violating coronavirus protocols, but he was swiftly met with criticism for snitching on the establishment. Times deputy editor Dan Saltstein spotted a restaurant with an outdoor dining setup, and he apparently didn't think was safe, as the establishment instructed pedestrians to walk through the makeshift tent for outdoor diners. Saltstein snapped images of the setup and tweeted them with a caption, "I'm sorry, is this legal?" In a follow-up tweet, Saltstein gloated that he reported the restaurant to 311, which is New York's hotline for non-emergency calls. By the way, 311 is for any city. 311, 411, all the 911, all the, like, through the numbers. There's, like 811, I think it's like phone repair. There's a bunch of different functions. Anyway, so they reported the restaurant to 311, which is New York's hotline for non-emergency calls. Quote, this is a quote from a tweet from Dan Saltstein. I feel terribly for restaurant owners and don't want people to pile on, he wrote. But I did give them a call and reported them to 311. Anyway, the Times editor was hit with a backlash on ratting out the business. And again, we got a bunch of tweets. So I'm going to read the highlights from the tweets that they copy and pasted. This is not journalism. Fox News. One quote from DFFF23. Of course you did, third grade tattletalers. Someone else said, when it comes down to it, they're all repressed hall monitors. Good. Is that a metaphor or an analogy? It's one of those. Tony Pajamas simply said snitch. Another said, great job, Karen. You're so brave. A lot of snitches. And I think, obviously they wanted people to pile on. Meanwhile, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Monday threatened to implement tighter restrictions on indoor dining statewide if hospitalization rates don't improve. If after 5 days the region's hospital rate has not been stabilized, indoor dining will be closed or be reduced. God, that guy. Andrew Cuomo. Anyway, last month, bars, restaurants, and any other establishments with state liquor licenses were required to end indoor and outdoor dining by 10 p.m. after the governor said data showed establishments where alcohol is served, gyms, and indoor gatherings at private homes were contributing to the spread of the coronavirus. The order came just weeks after New York restaurants were permitted to resume indoor dining at 25% capacity on September 30th after months of being shut down. Now, as a caveat to the story, I hope you've heard about the incident with, what's it called, Max Public House in New York. Am I right? Have you heard this story, EK?
Say it one more time.
Max Public House in Staten Island. So they've been fighting this whole New York thing, and it's I'd hate to be get all Ace Frehley here and get back in the New York groove, but I mean it's I think it's interesting that New York is kind of the epicenter of where all this fascistic COVID lockdown is going on, and I think that New York has been kind of an epicenter of all that, and I think there's going to be people in these communities that are going to be fighting the good fight, just like Washington did on Manhattan Island back in the day. And so, I mean, you got to fight these tyrants that are running around. You're like telling you can't go to a restaurant, and then 10 minutes after they make the announcement, you find them in a restaurant with 50 people. Anyway, I wish I can go on longer rants so much of the time, and I wish there was more whiskey. But that being said, let's go on this next story. 4 Americans, this is an update from last week. 4 Americans who were held captive in British Virgin Islands have been released. So 4 Americans who have been, quote, held captive, quote unquote, in the British Virgin Islands for 2 weeks were finally released on Thursday. John Hines, Linnie Ann Hines, and Nicholas Cantrell and Janine McKinnon were taken into custody by British Virgin Islands authorities last month after they said they accidentally sailed into their territorial waters. They had been in contact with U.S. State Department officials. This is a quote. "We are aware that the U.S. citizens previously detained in the British Virgin Islands have been released," the State Department spokesman told Fox News. After being held captive, then released, John Hines said they took a 4-hour boat ride to St. Thomas to plan to fly home to the United States on Friday. A 3-hour tour. Quote, "We are wiped out," he said when reached by text message on Thursday. He woke up on a flight. What? Yeah, we are wiped out, yo. The Americans were apprehended on November 19th as they sailed through their territorial waters, according to the BVI's Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. I almost said persecution. Prosecutions. Big difference. The 4 Americans were then placed into mandatory quarantine at a local hotel as part of a COVID-19 preventative measure, BVI authorities said. That's BVI's British Virgin Islands, obviously. On Tuesday, 12 days after they were apprehended, the 4 pleaded guilty to illegal entry and each paid a $1,000 fine. That's what they wanted. That's all they wanted was some money. You know, we did the story last week where they wandered into their waters. So because they were scared of COVID, they came up to the boat. They were scared that these people who entered their territorial waters were carrying COVID. And so their Coast Guard, or what their the British Virgin Islands, equivalent of the Coast Guard, came up and boarded the ship, arrested the people on the ship, took the people on the ship back to the mainland, put them in a hotel because they were scared that they had COVID and they didn't want to infect the people of their island, supposedly. And now, after 2 weeks of quarantine, they're released. Anyway, so Hines told WHAM that their captain, Cancro, paid a $20,000 fine with credit cards after they first... Credit cards? Oh, he maxed out a couple of them, didn't he? Okay, so after they were first apprehended, but BVI authorities would only accept cash. Kevin Gregory, another American sailor who had run into BVI authorities last month, told the Virgin Island Daily News that he had to pay $20,000 in a fine in order to be promptly released. That's all they want. They want the money. Quote, "I said, I've got a crew that's got to leave," Gregory told the newspaper. "I can't hang out and fight this thing. I have to be able to leave and litigate later." So, you ever seen that movie? This is a kind of related aside. You ever seen that movie, Captain Ron? All right, a Kurt Russell movie. Really good movie. I really enjoyed that movie. Martin Short, Kurt Russell, and he ends up like trading a ride with these gorillas, with a U, not a no, gorillas. He ends up trading a ride for some automatic weapons, right? A MAC-10 and a couple of 45s, right? Martin Short finds out that he has these weapons, and he takes the weapons and he throws them overboard, thinking that is like, oh, honey. She's like, "What'd you throw overboard?" It's like, "Automatic weapons, honey. Captain Ron just traded these gorillas for automatic weapons for, get this, Pirates of the Caribbean." Right? Because even earlier in the movie, Martin Short makes a reference, "Been to Disneyland way too many times, Captain Ron?" And no, the pirates exist. Pirates still exist. They still exist in the areas they have always existed. Southern coast of Australia, northern coast of, southern coast of Africa. The Cape Horn, I want to say. Or is that the South America? Anywhere down there around, South Africa and Madagascar, Somalia, pirates still exist, and they still exist in the Caribbean. The Pirates of the Caribbean still exist. All right. Sometimes they're assisted by their parent nation. Anyway, I got 5 minutes left, so I want to get through these 2 happier stories in order to lighten the mood before we leave for the week. So let's go on to this next story. Massive goldfish discovered in South Carolina lake. So, a massive 9-pound goldfish has been discovered in South Carolina in a South Carolina lake after officials were performing a routine water quality test, a report says. Ty Houck, the director of Greenways Natural and Historic Resources at the Greenville County Parks Department, told the state that he did not know how long the fish had been in the Oak Grove Lake, but guessed it had been someone's pet that they didn't want anymore. Quote, our guess is that someone didn't want to kill their fish, but they couldn't take care of it anymore, Houck told the news outlet. Greenville Rec also posted a photo of the fantastic fish on their Facebook page. Go look for it. It's huge. Though most goldfish are tiny, living in small bowls, Houck said that their size can vary greatly, recalling one from his old childhood. They grow to the size of their environment, he added. Given its large size, it's likely that it's very old, with Houck's mother referring to it as Methuselah. Quote, this might be Methuselah of Oak Grove Lake, Houck said of the 9-pound fish, while also noting its survival skills. In addition to its longevity, Houck said the goldfish must have a pretty good survival skills after some dredging was done at the lake's headwaters earlier this year. Goldfish aren't native to South Carolina lakes. That's not a quote. That's just something they felt they had to put in there. They're not native to South Carolina lakes, but are not considered invasive. Commenting on its size, Houck also noted that the lake is healthy as a result of its nuclear and not a result of any nuclear exposure. Damn Simpsons. We are downstream of nuclear power plant, Houck explained. There's actually just the opposite. It is obviously healthy enough at Oak Grove Lake for a goldfish to get that big, he added. See, I'm pretty sure I've been to Oak Grove Lake. And so here's the thing about goldfish is that they grow to the size of their environment. And I don't know if you've ever had a goldfish and it died on you, which happened to me. But if you give them enough room, they can get pretty big. They can get pretty big. I want to say that goldfish come from Asia. That's what's popping in my head. Or it's some sort of carp, I'm sure. Hold on. Let me look this up real quick. Goldfish. Not the crackers. Okay. Yeah. Most commonly aquarium fish, blah, blah, blah. Carp family. Yep. They're carp. Goldfish are native to East Asia. I knew it. And so, if you find one in like a lake in South Carolina, the concept is that some kid had a goldfish when they were a kid, and they kept pretty good care of it up until the point they lost interest, they moved away, or he's 14 now, he's gone for 2 days at a time, or you dump him into a lake because why would you want to flush him into the toilet? All right, because that whole Finding Nemo concept of all pipes lead to the ocean is insane. There's a lot of screens in between us and the ocean, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of chemicals as well. So not all pipes lead to the ocean. So, I think it's interesting because the story of this goldfish goes back to some kid's childhood where they go on a goldfish at a state fair or something like that. They hit the ring on the spike or whatever like that, and they won a goldfish, and this is where it ended up, in a lake in South Carolina. But it's not an invasive species. It's not like snakeheads, you know what I mean? But it just grew big because it had room to grow. Anyway, let's go to this last story. We've got about a minute left. So 2 young kids take parents' Range Rover for a ride from New York to Delaware. 2 cousins, aged 12 and 7, took a Range Rover belonging to one of their parents from New York City and ended up near the border shared between New Jersey and Delaware on Monday, authorities said. Police officers from the 106th Precinct in Queens received reports of a stolen vehicle around 10 a.m. A parent said the 2 kids had taken the vehicle after they had reviewed home surveillance footage. How mad were they after that? When they watched that footage, it's like, oh no, they didn't. They took the car. A police source told Daily News the stunt may have been inspired by an internet challenge where a car was driven until the gas tank was empty. The pair, a 12-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl, were tracked down by authorities using license plate readers and toll road technology as they drove into Staten Island. The boy refused attempts by authorities to get him to pull over because he never had that PE class where they teach kids, like, if they're in your rear view and they're flashing their lights, that means pull over. The boy refused attempts by authorities to get him to pull over, the newspaper said. Other attempts by New Jersey state troopers to stop the vehicle were unsuccessful. The children were found at a rest stop near the New Jersey-Delaware border where they tried using a credit card to purchase cookies, triggering an alert to their location. The kids were uninjured, and no accidents related to the joyride were reported, authorities said. They are brought back into the city to speak with police. An investigation of the incident is ongoing. So let me tell you something. If you're 12 years old or you're 7 years old and you're watching this podcast, what's wrong with you? Where are your parents? All right. Second of all, never, ever, ever try to drive a car if you're not licensed to do so. You know, it's a very complicated process, kids. All right. You can't just assume that it's very easy because you see adults doing it all the time. That's just not how it works. Okay. So you got to be careful. You got to watch your kids. And so that's the question. It's like, was a 12-year-old watching the 7-year-old? And so that's what I'm wondering. Was there no adult watching them? And so I think this can bring up an argument of like, how old is old enough for a kid to, be a babysitter? And is 12 too young? I think, yes, 12 is too young, especially if the keys to a vehicle are inside the house. I guess you just have to be knowledgeable of how smart kids can be because after all, they are humans. They're smarter than raccoons because they have this. They have the thumb. They have a thumb and they have a brain, which is bigger than a raccoon's, even at 12 years old. Anyway, so this has been a very interesting show. I want to remind you again to go over to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, become a patron. I would appreciate it. You can also send me cash through Cash App. Use the cash tag shockmonkeyradio. If you can't do any of that, I would appreciate you go to my YouTube channel, search for Shock Monkey Radio on YouTube or BitChute, and like, share, and subscribe to my videos. I also have books over on Amazon for digital download. Just search for the writer Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. That's Scott L. Robbins, 2 T's and 2 B's, and get my copies of Exit 13, Ravings of a Madman, and The Bunny Years, a memoir. And so I wanted to also tell you, it's like I got a new show coming tomorrow at 9 a.m. is I'm going to release a show with comedian Scott Wharton, called Scott versus Scott, and we're going to be debating a bunch of issues. And if you have any comments or topics you want us to talk about for that show, you can leave them in the comments. Look out for that coming at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I would appreciate it. But in the meantime, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.